วัสดีค่ะ
Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Thanks for joining me for another video today. This is a video that's been a long time coming. I'm here in sunny Pattaya with Mark, who runs One Stop Visa with his lovely wife, Pom. Hi Mark, thanks for joining me today.
Nice to see you again, Peter.
So, I've been talking about your services for quite a while now, but why don't you tell us a bit more about what you do? Because it's not just visas, is it?
No, we cover all the visa aspects that are required. We do retirement visas, tourist visas for lady, if you want to take a young lady back to your own country. We do marriage visas, any kind of visa basically, dependent visas, education visas, any kind of visa.
I've heard that it's really hard to take a female partner back to the States as opposed to Europe. Is that true? Or?
It's a little bit more difficult for the USA, also for Canada.
Right.
It really depends on the amount of information you give on the young lady. Mm-hmm. What they're looking at is information to make her return to the country. So
right.
They're looking for reasons for her to come back if she's got children, property, land, assets, car, all these kind of things are business. Mm-hmm. They're all reasons to bring her back to the country, and that's what they're looking for. You must know the lady a minimum of 6 months.
6 months.
You must show some funding and sponsorship, and it must be clear, you know. You've got to have copies of Western Union, for instance, or whatever format you've used. Mm-hmm. You must have copies of this. You must have your own house deeds or a good rent contract. If you're working, you must have a contract for work if it's possible. Bank statements, very important. Your bank statements must be good. Mm-hmm. And also with the USA, what a lot of people don't realise, you have to put a lot of money into the Thai girl's account and it has to stay there.
Really?
Now, that can be a problem.
When you say a lot, what sort of figure are we talking?
Well, you know, they've got to have something in the region of 100,000 baht in the account.
It's not so bad though. It's about $3,000, isn't it?
It's quite difficult to get a Thai girl to leave 3,000.
Yeah, sure. I know.
You know, you say don't touch it and suddenly it's gone, you know?
Yeah, sure.
So that causes a few problems. But with the rest of things like the Schengen visa for Europe, they're much easier. They're more complicated, but they're much easier.
Sure.
UK visas are fairly simple, although they do want a lot of information for them.
Sure.
So we get them, no problem.
What about the retirement visas then? So a lot of people think if you come here on retirement, you've got to get insurance, but that's not the case, is it?
No, there's two types of retirement visa. The one you obtain in your own country is an OA, which means you're required by law to have mandatory insurance in your own country. Mm-hmm. You also need insurance in this country, which they'll suddenly tell you when you arrive here. You apply for the 90-day non-immigrant status in your own country. Mm-hmm. Then you come here with this, you need to then get the bank accounts, and then you can get the 12-month extension of retirement. Right. The downfall of the OA is that you have to have that insurance every single year and you have to renew it the same way every year. And the insurance is expensive. Lots of guys come on it, they did it years ago and now getting off of it. They're coming to me and saying, how do I get off this OA? And they have to go out the country and start again with a tourist visa.
Why do they have to go out the country? Does that have interest?
It's basically to kill the visa, finish the visa. So they must come back in on a 30-day tourist visa and start again.
Right.
Now, the visa you get here is the non-O. So with the non-O visa, there is no mandatory insurance whatsoever.
It's quite confusing. Why do they insist on insurance on one visa but not on the other? But they're both retirement.
It's just a stupid rule, and it's been a stupid rule they've had for years. Although there's no mandatory insurance on the OA that you get here, I advise people to take some kind of health insurance cover when they are here.
Of course.
Or at least something, you know, to cover them for a reasonable accident or something like that. All you need for the non-O retirement visa here is two forms of identification. One being your passport and the second one being your driving license. And your driving license is to open the bank account, basically. You need 800,000 Thai baht in the bank account. We can assist you with that. And in the last 12 months, they brought a rule in where you need a 12-month rent contract. You only use it once, never ask for it again.
That's the first time?
First time.
Yeah.
We can assist you with that. There's no actual need to have it. So we can help you out with that. It takes 28 days overall to get the non-O retirement visa here. You have 3 or 4 stipulations which a lot of people don't point out. There's 90-day reporting, and lots of guys panic about the 90-day report.
It's easy, isn't it?
It's very, very easy, and it's you only do the 90-day reports if you spend 90 consecutive days in the country.
Sure.
You leave the country in the middle of May, come back in December, it starts again from when you come back. So it resets to your return date.
And a lot of guys don't know you can actually do it online, right?
Yeah, online, very, very simple. But we actually do it for our clients free of charge, part of the service.
I had a guy, I've got a friend, well, he's a guy I met in Bangkok, and he said, oh, I've just come back from Pattaya. And I said, why did you go to Pattaya? And he said, oh, because I have to do the 90 days reporting and I'm registered in Pattaya. And I'm like, well, why don't you do it online? Yeah. He didn't know that you could do it online. It's so easy. Yeah,
I've got clients registered in Korat, and I do it online for them here, you know.
Yeah,
they come down, they do their visa with me, go back, and I say to them, first one, we need the passport, they post it.
Yeah, sure.
After that, our system tells us when it comes up, provided they've not left the country.
Yeah.
We just ring them up and say, your report's due, and I send them another one by line, and we just do it online. A little girl does it online for them.
So let's talk a little bit about, so you get a guy, he's in Europe or America, and he's thinking about coming out here and retiring. And of course, if you haven't done it before, it's you're thinking, oh, it's going to be so complicated. So just talk me through the steps. So a guy who wants to come out here and retire, what would he have to do to get his actual retirement visa? What would you do for him, or what does he have to do? Just talk me through the steps.
Well, firstly, he needs to do a lot of homework on what he needs to do at home. You know, things like his own bank account, when the cards are going to run out, his credit cards, etc. You know, if he wants to take insurance at home prior to coming, at least for the time he's waiting for his visa. When he gets here, we can do the visa for him from start to finish. Includes opening the bank account. We can help him with the funding process, the 800,000. As I say, we do everything for him. All the paperwork's done for him. We open the bank account in less than 3 days total, including we need time to get the residence certificate from immigration.
Sure.
Then we take him to the bank, we open the bank account. Directly from the bank, I take him to immigration, where we buy him a nice cup of coffee, and 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, they'll be in, photograph taken, and out. 21 days to 28 days later, their retirement visa will come back completed.
And the first one, I believe, is 15 months, isn't it?
It's 15 months because it's called the non-O retirement visa. The non-O being the non-immigrant 90-day status, and then you get a 12-month extension first time of retirement. So at the point of 15 months, we need to renew the visa annually, then every 12 months. So it's much simpler. You just pop in, we renew the visa. It takes 4 days, and your passport's back in your hand. Initially, it's the first one for the checks.
Right. So what would you say to anybody who says, oh, I don't want to use a visa, it's so expensive, I'll do it myself? Because I know people who live up country who go into immigration, they've got a Thai wife, a Thai girlfriend, they do it themselves. You know, and these are the guys who will leave comments like, oh, I don't need an agent, I'll do it myself. What reasons would you give to people to use an agent? Well, I mean, I used an agent. I used you, actually.
Yeah. Initially, there's a lot of paperwork involved in the retirement visa. If, for instance, you don't want to use your own funds, that's a major reason.
You've got to read between the lines here, guys, if you don't want to use your own funds, right?
Yeah, I've got to be very careful how I say this. If you can open a bank account, bank accounts are very difficult to open now. Yeah. And you're on a tourist visa when you open it, so we can open a bank account on a tourist visa. That's all I'm going to need to say on that. The paperwork, basically, there's a lot of paperwork.
And it'll all be in Thai, of course.
And it's all in Thai. If you can do the paperwork, you can do the banking. And bearing in mind, when you do the banking, you've got 1 day to go to immigration and do the retirement visa.
Yeah,
because the banking paperwork is only valid for 1 day.
Yeah.
So if you get it wrong, you're going to be in and out of immigration for days and days and days. If you do it with an agent, you've got the benefit that you know it's going to be done, it's going to come back, there's no hassle, no earache. And at the end of the year, you can just go back, renew. Your 90-day reports are done. Your TM30s when you leave your country. When you come here, I mean, if you leave and go to Wai Hin and stay in a hotel, they register a TM30.
Of course, yeah.
You come back to your house, you live in Pattaya, you have to re-register your TM30. Sure. Another load of hassle. Let's go down immigration and spend another hour down there. With the agent, like myself, you just ring me up and say, Mark, I've just come back from so-and-so. I need a new TM30. We just register it for you. No hassle, no going back to immigration, and no charge here. I don't charge for that.
So let me just ask you a little bit about the costs. I mean, obviously you're not going to give your prices here because you've got competition in Pattaya. You don't want to give out your prices. But is it the same price every year for everything? Or like the first year you come for your retirement visa and your bank account, you've got a set price. What about the second and third year? Does it go down or
it goes down under half, under 50%.
Is that right? What's the reason for that?
Because they haven't got all the paperwork to do.
Right.
Very minimal paperwork. You've already got the non-O status. Your paperwork's already been checked with immigration, so it doesn't have to go from Pattaya to Bangkok and Bangkok and back. It's just redone here. It's just an extension of your paperwork.
Because Bangkok oversees the whole country, doesn't it?
The whole country,
So once you've had the first one, that goes to Bangkok, and then the second one, it doesn't go back to Bangkok?
No, it doesn't. It's just done here in Pattaya, hence the reason it takes 4 days maximum.
Right. What about if somebody wanted to do a little bit of work here, they're on a retirement visa, is that possible or not?
No, if you want to, you cannot work on a retirement visa.
Right.
The rules say clearly you cannot, you're in breach of immigration rules if you work on a retirement visa.
So if somebody came out here and they wanted to work, what would be the process? What would they have to do?
They'd have to get a non-B work permit.
Right. Is that something you can help people
yes,
with?
Yes, no problem. We do the work permits all the time.
And what's involved with the work permit? Because there'll be guys who, they've got savings, but they're thinking, okay, maybe I can go out and open a bar or do some kind of small business out here. And they would obviously need a work permit. What would be involved with that? I mean, you say you can help them, but what would they...
Firstly, when they talk about opening a bar, spend some time and walk around Pattaya and look how many bars in back streets are closed. It's a great dream. I'll get myself a nice bar in Pattaya. It'll pay for me to live here. And
we've seen how many go under.
I've seen thousands that are, good ideas, well themed, just in the wrong location.
There's just too many here.
Just too many. You are fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
By the time you've done the overheads of getting the bar, getting the staff, stocking the bar, getting the licenses, unless you're willing to take a very, very serious chance, bars are not good ideas.
No.
But that's only my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I was more or less using the bars as just an example to come here and work. But say they had a great idea and they come here and they want to work doing anything. What would be to get the work permit? Right. What would the hoops they'd have to jump through?
First thing, they'd have to register a company, which we do. They would then need to find premises for the operations or whatever.
Before they get the work permit.
Before they get the work permit. Then they need to find themselves 4 Thai staff. For each work permit in a company, you need 4 Thai staff.
And I guess you have to pay all the...
They'll have to pay for 3 months Social Security on each one of the 4 staff.
What, up front?
Up front, each month, as the months go by.
Right.
1,200 baht per staff per month. And obviously they will have to pay tax, a minimum of 50,000 baht. They pay tax on 50,000 baht, which is not a great deal. It's about 1,500.
But it all adds up slowly. There's all these little costs.
Bearing in mind, you can have opened the business, but you cannot work yet.
Right.
You know, and when I say you can't work, you can't pick up a broom and sweep up outside. You cannot work. Full stop.
Right.
Then you go through the process of getting the non-B, which is converting your tourist visa to a non. So you get a non-O for a retirement visa, you get a non-ED for an education visa. In this case, you get a non-B for a work permit. So first of all, we get the non-B. Now that can take up to 10 to 12 weeks to get the non-B. Once you've got the non-B, it's a lot simpler. You then get the work permit, the extension of 12 months of the work permit, which usually takes about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. At the point when you get the work permit, you can then start work. You have got a 12-month extension to start work. Mm-hmm. So you can actually put some hands on into it.
Wow.
But up to then, you can't be seen to do any work whatsoever. Don't even point at one of your staff.
Don't even pick up a paintbrush.
Don't tell your staff to carry somewhere there to there and someone sees you. You can be done for it. It's ridiculous. It is really, really crazy. Once they've got the work permit, obviously the work permit needs to be maintained every year like all visas.
Sure. Let me just ask you about, okay, we've talked about retirement visas and work permits. What about guys who are under 50? Because you have to be 50. That's the minimum age to get a retirement visa, which is actually quite low, actually, 50 years of age. But there's a lot of guys who want to come out here. They might be kind of 40, 42, digital nomads, guys who they've got the money to stay out here. How can they stay out here long term? Because they can't get the retirement visa.
A lot of guys go onto the ED visa.
Which one?
The ED, the education visa.
Education visa. What's involved with that?
You need a 6-month rent contract minimum for an ED visa. You obviously have to study either Thai or Muay Thai.
Because I've cracked down on all this lately.
They've cracked down on it, but there is lots of guys who actually do it and can do it. They've got the time to do it and want to do it, so it suits them. You mentioned the digital nomad visa. Now, I'm not really going to talk a lot about it because it's in the process of a huge upgrade, the digital nomad visa.
Right.
And it's going to be a visa that suits the 40 to 50 or 30 to 50-year-old people.
Right.
It's going to be a lot more flexible from what I'm led to believe, but I can't really
it's not in place yet, is it?
It's not in place yet.
Right.
And I haven't got the full details, so I can't tell you. But
Okay.
it looks like it's going to be much more flexible for the guys of that age. They can actually stay here a long time, pay taxes, and have a visa that keeps them here for 6 months of the year, 6 months of the year. So when that comes out, I'll get in touch with you and we'll do a little bit just on that, because it's going to be quite complex. But at the moment, it's not very flexible.
Right.
I'm led to believe it's going to be a lot more flexible and open to a lot more guys in that age range.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing I get is people asking me questions. They'll send emails or leave comments and say, look, I'm 45, I'm 48. I've got another 2 years until I fit into that bracket of retiring. What can I do? I want to stay in Thailand. I work on a laptop and I make money, you know, they don't know.
Yeah, it's I get many of the same emails on the same subject. But like I say, the new digital nomad visa will open up the door to a lot more of these guys, and I'm hoping it's going to be in the next month or so.
Good. And you're thinking about opening up a second office, aren't you? I heard, because you're quite busy at the moment.
Well, we're very busy at the moment. We're busy all year round. I'm thinking about opening up a second office and diversing the business in that, like I do driving license and bank accounts from one office, and I do all the visas from a second office. So the two areas are not together in the same office.
Sure. I wanted to talk to you also about the driving licenses, because people, guys, you don't realise that if you have a Thai driving licence, how important it is, because you can actually use it as an ID. You know, when you come here at the moment, you have to present your passport, leave it with the hotel, they take a photocopy, report to immigration. But if you've got a Thai driving licence, it does more for you than just allow you to drive. It's a form of ID here, and that's something you can facilitate for people, right?
Yeah, we do lots and lots of driving licenses. Number one, it's a form of ID. You can use it to fly domestically in Thailand without your passport. You can use it to check in hotels. It's good for ID because your passport number is your driving license number.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconception about driving in Thailand. A lot of people think they come on their plastic car from America, UK or whatever, and they can drive. You cannot drive. There are certain countries, but list is very few that can drive on this license. You cannot drive on any form of paper license. Mm-hmm. They're completely gone. You can drive, however, on an international, an IDP, an international driving permit. Mm-hmm. But you may only drive for 90 days after you arrive in the country.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I had an international license when I came in. It said 1 year on it, so I just took it that I could drive for 1 year.
Well, you get 3-year ones and you get 1 year one.
Right.
You can drive on it. If you leave the country and come back in again, from the date you fly back in again, you can drive another 3 months. But technically, it's only valid for 3 months, and they've started now very cleverly looking at the dates and saying, produce your passport at the police station.
Right.
And if you're over the 3 months, you committed the penalty. If you've got an IDP or a plastic license from your own country with endorsements for car and motorcycle, we can easily convert that in. You come in, you give us your documents one day, and on the following Thursday or Friday, because we only do them on a Thursday and Friday, we take you directly to the driving centre, the government driving centre, and we convert your licence to a Thai licence.
And it doesn't cost that much, does it?
No, it's not. It's really very reasonable. Your Thai licence will be for 2 years, and they're separate. You get 2 licences in Thailand, one for the motorbike, one for the car. You will only get 2-year licence first time. Even Thai people only get 2 years first time.
And then it's 5, isn't it?
It's 5 years if you have a long-term visa, an O visa, work permit, something like that.
Right.
If you're still coming on tourist visas, you will only get a 2-year one a second time. So it's only if you're on a long-term visa, like a retirement visa or whatever, then the second time around you will get a 5-year license.
What I find really strange is, you know, in most countries, when you take your driving test and you want to renew your license, you just fill in the application, you get an automatic renew. But here you have to do the test again, don't you, every time you get the license?
It's not the full test. It's 4 major tests, yellow, green and red, the traffic lights basically.
Yeah.
There's a thing called depth perception where you line 2 sticks up in a box. One's a stationary stick, one's a moving stick, and you have a button, backwards and forwards. You line it up, and when you're happy that it's lined up, you press the finish button as your answer, basically. The third one is just an emergency brake test. You sit down, it's green, goes to red, you do an emergency brake test. And the fourth one is a common one in most countries now, is a peripheral eye test, where you put your eyes into a box, and they have the flashing lights either side, and you have to say right, left, right, and it just tells you which.
I mean, it's fairly easy, isn't it?
They're all very, very
Do they let you wear the glasses if you need
Yes,
glasses? So
yes,
that, yeah, okay.
okay.
So people who wear glasses, it should find it quite easy.
I
as well.
advise them don't wear the glasses for the peripheral eye test because the glasses steam up.
Oh right, yeah.
And really, unless you're really up this distance, they're no good anyway. You know, so you don't really need them for that eye test.
Just backpedaling a little bit on the visas, I forgot to ask you about the multiple entry because that's really important, isn't it?
There's 2 very, very important things about the retirement visa, particularly, or even education visa. Any visa that's long term and you leave the country, you need a re-entry permit to make your re-entry allowed. If you do not put a re-entry visa, a re-entry permit on the visa, you will lose the visa automatically. So it's advisable to put either a single entry, which explains itself, one exit, one entry, or a multiple entry. Now, if you put a multiple entry permit on the visa, you may go and come back in the country as many times during the period of the visa as you wish. So if you get it for 15 months, you get the permit for 15 months, you go in and out for 15 months, no problems whatsoever. There's no limitation to how long you have to be in Thailand on that visa. And no, like you can stay 5 years and not go home, where you can go home every month. It makes no difference. So there's no parameter where you have to be in Thailand for a certain amount of time. Just means you can come and go. You just got freedom, very much freedom. Another thing is, with a retirement visa, you can renew a retirement visa 3 months before it expires, and you don't lose any time. So it's good for guys that want to go in for Christmas if it falls at that time, Easter, things like that, family holidays. So it gives them an opportunity to be at home for certain things. But again, a lot of things that are not pointed out. If your visa expires during that 3 month period, you've got your new visa, so you're fine to come in. But when you renew that visa, you must renew the permit to come back in. The re-entry permit. A lot of guys forget and don't ask. I tell them every time, but if you don't ask and you don't get it, you're going to lose that visa. You paid for it, and it's going to be absolutely no good to you. So just out of interest, have you ever known a case where a guy's got a retirement visa, he thinks, I've got 15 months, he's been here a month, he goes home to visit whoever, comes back in, but he hasn't had a multi-entry, and what would happen to his visa in that Last
situation?
year I probably saw 6 guys walk in here that happened to.
Oh no. And
purely blamed, all done with agents, not done with themselves.
Right.
Well, the agent just never told them, never informed them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I actually, when I pass the passport back to you completed, I give a full sheet on 90-day recording and on re-entry permits.
Right.
And I install it into their brain.
Yeah.
Take a picture of them with it so they know, they've been told.
Yeah.
Because guys walk in and say, he said, well, he never told me, you know. And it happened to a friend of mine who was an agent. And he said, Mark, look, I've got a picture of him, me giving him, he does the same as me. I said, so obviously he was the guy who got it wrong, you know. Sure. He just got it wrong.
Do you remember back, I remember years ago, 20, 25 years ago, there was a lot of fake visas where guys were buying, they thought they were facilitating agency visas, but there was some guy just with fake stamps. They got to the airport and it was all, it was all wrong. Is that something that's gone, it's in the past, or is there still a little bit of that about?
It's not prevalent anymore, no. You don't sort of get that. But you do get, unfortunately, in Bangkok particularly, agents will take your passport and you'll just not get a visa. And you'll chase them and chase them and chase them, and they disappeared with your passports. Recently in Pattaya, there was one with a lady with education visas. She had something like 35, 40.
I read about that. It.
She said, took the passports, took the money, and never did the visas.
Yeah. They caught her, didn't they? With
they
all
did,
the
thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But they still prosecuted the people.
Right.
What
about somebody who comes here and they're intending to live in Bangkok and they think, well, I don't need to go down to Pattaya to do it. I'll do it in Bangkok. Is it? You think it's quicker here, or?
It's cheaper and quicker here. is
just because it's capital
considerably
city.
cheaper.
So we've got the bank account, we've got the driving licenses, we've got the long-term visas. Is there anything I've forgotten about? Any other kind of services?
We do motorbike transfers, car transfers. When you buy a car, you need to get a residence certificate for the sale. If you're buying a bike, you need to get a residence certificate to buy it. A residence certificate has one purpose only, so it's expensive. We do all the transfer for you if you want us to do it for you. Transfer the bike, transfer the car into your name. A word of advice, when you get on Facebook and some of these social media sites, be very careful what you buy. A lot of them are not what they say they're going to be.
Yeah.
If you're unsure, ask for the green book. Come and see us. We will check the green book for you to make sure it's legitimate and the bike is legitimate, or the car for you.
Yeah, the green book is actually what we would call the log book in the UK.
Yeah, the green book on a bike,
blue book on a car. Yeah.
If you bring it to us, we'll check it on the system, make sure it is legitimate, because there's a lot of fakes out there.
Yeah.
Also, condos. If you're looking at condos on Facebook, be very, very wary. A lot of the condos you go and see are actually not that person's to rent out.
They're middlemen.
Yeah, be very, very careful. And suddenly you'll find, actually, you've rented a condo that somebody else has rented and somebody else has rented. So it's a very, very you've got to be very, very careful in that situation.
Right. So, guys, lots of good information here. So, something I didn't mention, Mark's office is actually on one of the most notorious streets in Pattaya. He's on Soi 6. What made you decide to have an office here? If you don't know Soi 6, it's like, how can we explain it? It's just a wild soy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, absolute crazy. I didn't put it here for that reason. I put it here because it's foot traffic of foreigners.
Right.
You don't get a lot of Thai guys and girls walking up here unless they're working here.
It's a good idea, actually.
All you get walking up here all day long is foreigners. So it's
right.
for foot traffic more than anything else.
Yeah.
The rent's much more expensive, but the volume of foot traffic is very, very good. It covers things.
I came here last night actually with the intention of doing an interview with Mark. It was about 5 o'clock,
About 5
and I didn't take into account the whole street on the other side is full of bars, and they start getting lively about 3-4 o'clock, and the music was booming, and we started doing the interview like this, and I just said, look, Mark, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work. So I've had to come here real early. I came here about 8 o'clock this morning, and it's nice and quiet. No copyright issues with YouTube, but. Mark, thank you so much. I mean, guys, just to let you know, if you want to get in contact with Mark, I will leave a description, links in the description below. They can call you, email you.
Email, call me.
You have a website, or you have a website?
We have a website. We have a Facebook site.
Right.
They're all up there on the.
Yeah. So I'll put all that information in the description. If you're interested in coming out here long term, or you just want to know some questions about visas, you can contact Mark and his lovely wife Pom, and he'll talk you through it. And the location, as I say, is Pattaya. It's Soi 6. Very easy to find. As you come in from the second road, come all the way down. It's nearly at the end on the left.
Yeah, you can't really miss it.
You can't really miss it, but you might get accosted on the way down if you come late in the afternoon.
I would come from the beach road end. It's safer.
It's safer, yeah. Mark, thank you so much.
One thing I want to say is, if any of you are members of Peter from Thai Legal, I'm affiliated with Peter in the way that his customers get a discount on all of our services.
Oh, brilliant.
So if you come through Peter, you get a discount on the services.
Peter, I've done videos with Peter before. Peter runs Thai Legal with his partner David up there in Bangkok. I work with Peter Thai Legal, and Mark works with Peter as well. So it's all affiliated, and the discount's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you're a member of Peter, you get a discount on the services.
Brilliant.
So it all helps.
Yeah, Mark, what can I say? It's been great. Thank you
Pleasure.
so much.
Nice to see you.
I hope this video's helped you guys. And if you're thinking about coming out here to retire, Mark's the guy you need to come and see, because I have used another agent in the past. I'm not going to say anything derogatory about any other agents, but in my opinion, Mark gives the best service with his wife Pom. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful, and I'll see you next time round.